Hi everyone. In today's video, we will answer the question, how long does it take to create a Miro template? Now, I have till date created 20 different Miro templates and all of them are visible on your screen right now. This is available on Miroverse, which is a site where you can distribute templates to the wider community. A link to this page will be under this YouTube video in the description below. Now, after creating all these 20 different Miro templates, I can safely put creating a new template in maybe two different categories. Category number one would be the quick wins. Templates like this could take maybe less than an hour to approximately around an hour, but definitely not more than 2 hours. And in category two would be the long running templates, the ones that take a long time to turn it around. Now, templates like this can take anywhere between 3 to 5 hours. Now, this is just my creation time. Different creators on Miroverse can be taking different amounts of time. Let me show you a few templates as an example, and let me walk you through maybe roughly how long did each of those take. Now, the first template in the first category is the 4-step retrospective. This retrospective template was completely put together in Miro itself using the default shapes and stickers and text and post-it notes. As you can see, the template itself is actually quite simple. It is just 4 columns for the retrospective and some post-it notes underneath each column. So this template maybe took me less than an hour approximately. The second template in the first category again took me about an hour, maybe a little more than an hour, is making decisions. Now, most of this template is actually just using the default Miro shapes and other objects, but what took me a little bit more time was finding the right image assets that go in these 3 boxes. So for that, what I did was I used an open source source for these assets called transhumans, and then what I had to do is basically download these SVGs and then recolor them, and then adjust the color palette, find the right color palette, and then see what works visually. So to recolor the SVGs, what I do is I use Figma. What I do is I just upload these SVGs that are downloaded from the open source website, and then I just recolor them in Figma, and then of course I put them on a simple rectangle and I try different color combinations to make sure that I'm happy with the color palette that's going on. For this particular one, what I've done is for this particular template I actually used a Figma plugin called Color Palettes. I think this was it. What this does is it gives me different color palettes to choose from, and I can just click on the plus button here to paste that color palette on my design file, and then I can just get the color codes for each of these colors. And so once I'm satisfied with that, what I do is then I just download or export this particular SVG, so that already comes colored now with the color of my choice, and then upload that back, and then place it all together, make the board together. So because there's a little bit of mix match between Figma and Miro, these sort of templates take a little bit more than an hour because there's a little bit more effort to it. Now, in similar fashion, we also have templates like resting up, or templates like what would they do. Again, it is a mix and match of finding the right design assets, putting it in Figma, recoloring, and even finding the right color palette, and then bringing it back to Miro, just uploading the assets to Miro. So in this one, for example, a lot of it is just using the standard out of the box Miro objects, but for these assets I actually used this Open Doodles. It's free, again open source. Just downloaded the SVG, recolored them according to whatever colors I choose from in Figma, and then uploaded back into Miro. Now, it doesn't matter what type of template I'm creating. There are two additional design assets that always take a little bit of time, which is to create the right tile and the right banner. So the banner is the image that goes when you're submitting a Miro template. And so that's why you can see that some of these templates actually show a preview of the board, whereas these ones actually show a nice little image because it's actually coming in from the thumbnail that I create. So there, what I do is I just copy these frames which are already set to the right sizes, and then based on whatever theme I'm currently designing, I just design the tile and the banner accordingly. The tile, of course, goes into the Miro board itself. So once you open up your Miro account, you will see all the different tiles. And if you have uploaded a custom tile, then you should see that custom image over there, which is just a nice extra touch that you can do as a creator of these Miro templates. It is optional, but it is worth going that extra mile. Next up, we have templates like this one, which is a woolly retro. This again did not take too long. It took a little bit more than an hour because generally speaking, the template itself is quite simple, straightforward, and mostly I'm just used out of the box images from unsplash.com. So I've just used that. So I don't have to create so much of custom design assets for this template. But what took a little bit of that extra time was to create this jigsaw puzzle. This was something new to me. So what I did was I have just uploaded the image in Figma, and then I right clicked it, and then I've used this plugin called Puzzle Cutter, and this allows me to just set the number of pieces and just click on this button to make the puzzle, and then that takes a little bit of while, and then it makes the jigsaw puzzle for me. As you can see, this plugin has worked and it has created a jigsaw puzzle based on this image, and you can see that these are actually movable parts that you can then move around. So what I had to do was then I had to move each of these parts separately, export them as SVGs, and then re-import them into Miro to then actually create this jigsaw puzzle, because I also shuffled the pieces around so it makes more sense. And then we also have images like this one, like this half sweater that's on this background, and then you have even this lamb over here, which is sort of added this white border, and of course we have removed the background for this. If you look at the original image, it was a little bit different. So that was again a little bit more of an extra work for this particular retrospective board, which actually I use this online tool called Photopia, which is like an online version of Photoshop, and you pretty much do the same thing. So you can, if you know Photoshop, you can do the same thing in Photopia and just create these extra design elements over here. So that resulted in a woolly retro taking a little bit more time, but still we are still talking about templates that have taken less than an hour or just over an hour. So this is still category number one. Now next up we have category number two, which are templates that have taken roughly between 3 hours to maybe 5 hours. Now I must add that the reason it has taken 3 to 5 hours or even taken this long is not because the template creation or submission process is difficult. It's because of the design assets that were required for this template. This is just a creative decision that I had to make, and the effort that goes into making these design assets by hand, and that obviously takes a little bit more longer time to create the visual that you see in one of these templates. So that takes a lot of time. Now, something that was slightly quick was this template called Space Bingo. As you can see that it is just a simple icebreaker sort of game, but all of these elements, all of these ones are actually custom designed. And this, as you can imagine, designing it by hand, it takes a lot of time. So if I look at the Figma file, for example, I have I have this banner that I've put together with all the SVGs in, but all of these elements are actually individually designed pieces that I've put together. So all these stars, all of these handles, as you can see, these are all individually put together. This also includes this rocket, which if I can, I can move these pieces around. I can also move the planet around, and each of this, the planet itself is again put together. It's designed and it's put together. So all of this, designing that in Figma, all of these individual elements designing in Figma, and then putting all of these elements together to form the visuals that I need takes a lot of time. And this is probably a template that's probably taken about 3 hours maybe. So on the lower side of category number 2, let's take a look at some which have taken slightly longer. And one of those was Gather Town Retrospective. Now, Gather Town Retrospective was an interesting one because these design assets itself are not created by me. It is open sourced by Gather Town, which is just an online sort of site where you can create these virtual spaces. And then someone has actually created a Figma community file with all these Gather Town assets. Now, what took a long time was actually combing through all of these design assets. As you can see, these are just small design assets that are available in this community file, and there are thousands and thousands of them throughout this whole file. And if you copy this community file to your Figma account, it takes ages to load because that's how big, that's how massive this file is, and it loads each and every one of these elements. So it actually took a lot of time to comb through all of these elements and figure out that, or maybe this is something that I can actually use in my retrospective board. And then of course, based on what is available, coming up with the idea of these different rooms, and then trying to find elements from that file, export it from that file and import it back into Miro to actually make this visual in place. It takes a lot of time. So that's again something that's taken more than 3 hours, maybe 3.5. Again, still on the lower side of category number 2, but again, it still takes a lot of time. Now let's take a look at some of the templates that I've taken towards the higher side of category number 2, which is maybe 4, maybe even 5 hours. And one of them is Retro in the UK. Now this I created it last year. Again, a highly custom designed template. As you can see, all of these elements are actually designed by hand in Figma. And things like this castle, it's all put together based on all these elements. And then this castle has these guards that are standing on the door, which is again custom design and designed separately, but then fitted inside this castle. And similarly, all of these cards, these flowers, the queen herself, all of these elements have actually been hand designed in Figma, and has thus taken a long time. So if I look at the Figma file for Retro in England or Retro in the UK, you can see that all of these elements are actually separately designed, so it's separately placed. And then what I do is then I put it in a banner and I try different variations. So I try and place these elements, try and play around with different colors, and see how it all looks together. And then I export all of these and then put it in a Miro board, and then sort of form these icebreaker, what went well, what didn't go well sort of sections, and then use certain assets in certain sections of the Miro board. As you can see, if I click on each and every one of these, this is like one group over here designed in Figma, which I can actually move around. So I can move this around. and all of this is individually like created and colored, so I can always change these colors if I wanted to, and then of course put together in similar fashion. Another template that took ages was a Halloween retro. Again, a lot of work, because there's a lot of these elements that are there, and the more generic the template is, the lesser the time it takes. But when I start adding all these minor details, like these ghosts on the tree, or this little dancing man over here in the window, uh, some of these are sort of optional, but it just makes this whole template a lot more fun. And of course, all the time taken to design this is totally worth it. So all of this actually is again custom designed. All these markers, all of these elements in these boards, everything is custom designed. So if I look at the Figma file for this one, again you'll see that all of these are actually custom designed. So what I'd usually do is, for all of these custom designed ones, I would think of what the idea is, comb through the net, comb through the internet, see what inspiration I get, and then sort of put together some designs that I kind of like. So it's a little bit of trial and error, which again takes a long time. And then once you know what you're doing, of course, then the manual work, the manual labor to create these designs also takes a long time. So a lot of trial and error and a lot of manual work. And but then of course, everything that gets placed visually, it looks good together, and that is what is most important. And the users, you guys who are using this template, if you're having fun, you're enjoying the creative aspects of this template, you're having fun using it, that is again what is most important. And finally, the one of the award-winning templates was actually retrospective in the island of Golokons. This is one of the first templates that retrospective templates I think that I created. Again, a lot of effort into designing the template. But if you look at it, it looks good, and of course it won a competition as well. And so if you look at the Figma file for it, you can see all of these elements are actually designed separately. And then what I do is then I put it together into one island, and then the island obviously starts blank, and then I retrofit it with items like strawberries or trees, or even these walkways and the rocks, boats, everything, right? So everything is custom designed. Everything can be edited, and it is there in this particular order for a reason, because I've taken the time to trial out a few things, and it is what it is at the moment. So again, these last three templates have taken maybe 4, maybe even 5 hours of time. Now for all of these templates, usually I don't have the complete picture of what I'm building. Sometimes it just starts off with an idea, like with the retrospective aliens one. It started off with I think it started off with the pyramids. It started off with this as an idea, and then I just build on top of that. So in that, keeping that theme in mind, what elements can I add? So I just put in like aliens running towards Earth, like a portal opening and another sort of creature coming out. All of those, it just adds on to it. But it's not already built in my mind. It is just a working progress, and you just keep doing it, and then you see what you got. So again, even this one took quite a bit of time. So that was the whole journey of how long it takes to create a Miro template. Again, I need to reiterate that the generally the creation and the submission process is actually super quick, but it totally depends how much time you put into creating a template. Totally depends upon you as the author, as the creator of the Miro template. As I've shown in some examples, there are some templates that are very quick. I have created them in less than an hour, and that it completely meets the needs, and that's fine. But then there are certain templates that I want to put my design into it. I want to make it as creative as possible, which means that I need to spend time creating these designs by hand in Figma, putting it all together, making sure that it looks visually stunning, and then making the template out of that. So those ones then obviously takes a long time, and so you have either you can spend an hour, less than an hour, to maybe 3 to maybe even 5 hours just designing the template. So a lot of work actually goes behind some of these well designed Miro templates. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video, and if you have thought of creating a template, if this video was useful to you, and in which direction you see yourself going. But that was it for this video. Do let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Do like the video, share the video with your network, and also please subscribe to this YouTube channel for more videos to come. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and see you in another video. Bye.